Hey, do me a huge favor before you start this episode, and please rate and review this show. By doing this simple task, it helps me rank higher on the podcast charts and helps me reach more entrepreneurs who are looking for free content like this. It will take you less than 30 seconds of your time. Thank you in advance, and I hope you enjoy today's episode. A lack mentality and how that is creating inefficiencies. A fear of lack or a fear of not having enough. This is all around content creation and how this is creating inefficiencies. That's what I'm going to talk about on this episode. And I'm going to talk about it, well, as I'm talking about, the last couple of episodes have been about time blocking and being inefficient, and I just had this moment of clarity, another moment of clarity or awareness, or call it what you will. I interview people for my podcast, and I just interviewed this guy, Damon Burton, the SEO king. My name for him, not his. You can see him at SEOnation.com, SEOnation.com, or DamonBurton.com. I believe he said DamonBurton.com is the best place to go to find him and all of his links. You can also find him on LinkedIn, Damon Burton, as well as Facebook, Damon.Burton. But his content's awesome. He is really gifted at generating free traffic with SEO, and then he is gifted himself with providing so much value with his content for free that people want to work with him. He's really good at it and just a good guy. And gosh, you may have already listened to those episodes or parts of them because I've turned it into a 5-part episode, which is part of my fear and lack. Fear and, around content creation and really feeling like, oh, I've created this content. I need to stretch it out because I might run out of ideas. So far, that has not been the case for me. I can ramble on. Actually, that's a limiting belief, because I'm not rambling on. I believe, because I'm talking to God, and I'm like, God, how can I be of service? And God's like, make these podcast episodes. So somebody is, so I'm being of service to somebody. Perhaps it's just me, but I believe it's you, the listener. I'm trying to add value. And, some people might not appreciate the way I add value, but a lot of you do. So thank you. Now, anyway. So the Damon Burton episode went great, interview went great, and I was going to get him the content. I was going to provide him, the raw interview footage so he could make little sound bites and snippets, and all of a sudden that started creating inefficiencies when all I needed to do was just forward him the episode, the raw video via Google Shared Drive, and he'd edit it up to his heart's desire. But then I was like, yeah, I need to put watermarks on there to try and get some value for myself, selfishly, because if you look at his reels, his Instagram reels, and all the shorts and things that he makes, he's most of the time just cutting his team as making him center stage. So if it's gallery view, he's cutting out to make it, more pleasurable and a better viewing experience. He's chopping off the interviewer, so it's just him most of the time. Or maybe that's how he's getting the content from the people that are interviewing him. But I was like, I need a watermark on there so Misha can get some glory and exposure. And so all of a sudden, that took time. It's great. I can do a watermark now. kind of. Well, I already knew how to do it, but I had to relearn, and I wanted to make it spinning. So actually, I knew how to do the watermark, but I was like, now I need to make it spinning. Add effects to it. So another rabbit hole. But anyway, then I was like, oh my gosh, I could turn this into a 5-part episode. And I had this fear, right? I was like, oh my gosh, I could turn this into 5 parts under the guise of having, it was an hour and 15-minute interview. And I was like, under the guise of making it more listener friendly for the listener, for you, the listener, right? Like, who's going to have time to listen to an hour and a half interview or an hour and 15-minute interview? Let's turn it into 5 episodes. And then I can do one a week for, 5 weeks. And all of a sudden, that's like having 5 separate interviews. But the underlying truth of the matter, the lack mentality was, I might not get another interview. Or, having 5, turning one interview into a 5-part series, which is not a bad idea, let's be real. But it's taken me a lot of time. It's taken me 2 days to do watermarks and turn this one episode that could already be published, and I've moved on. I'm still working on turning it into 5 parts because now I got to listen more, and it's turned into this whole project, right? But I was like, I want to have more episodes. I want to maximize this one episode. And because I might not have something to say tomorrow or next week, or I might not get another interview. I think you get where I'm going with this, right? And I realized, oh my gosh, this last 2 days as I've been, trying to lop it up into 5 episodes, I could have just published the one, forwarded it to him without any watermarks, and spent that 2 days inviting other people on the podcast. Hello, doing a little bit of research. But my lack mentality, in this case, now I do believe there's some smart things going on. It's good to turn it into a 5-part episode and make it more consumable. But there was underlying fear, like, what's my motive? That's the key question. What was my motive? So yeah, it is going to get turned into a 5-part series because I'm already down that rabbit hole and it's all in motion. And yeah, there you go, the lack mentality. So it's funny. I was like, maybe I shouldn't record this episode yet because I don't have other examples of where am I having a lack mentality that's holding me back or making me inefficient. And so I was like, you know what, just let it rip, go with it. And look at that, I'm at 8 minutes. Turns out there was plenty to say, but I would challenge you and encourage you to think, where are you having a lack mentality? Where is your fear that you will run out of whatever that thing is, creating inefficiencies for you when you should just trust that there'll be more, right? More content to create, more ideas, more episodes, maybe more resources, what have you. And it also lets me know I could have found I need to get a VA to help me, a virtual assistant where I can be like, hey, I need watermarks, or hey, just dish off my content to them and go like, hey, you're getting paid X dollars an hour, crank this out. Here you go. I think that's honestly the next step for me. Anyway, I'm done. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Table Rush Talk Show. For resources to help you sell your stuff, go to belove.media/resources. That's belove.media/resources. And be sure to subscribe, comment, 5-star, and share. Thank you again for listening.